Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
That sound means it's time for a Cavs on the Break NBA podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, he covers the Cleveland Cavaliers for Sports Illustrated. You can find and read his work at si.com/NBA/Cavaliers. Sam Amico. Sam, the Cavs not playing bad basketball, man. What's up?
It's been way better than I expected, and I think most people expected. Yes, absolutely.
A lot of fun to watch. Let's jump into the Slate recap. The last we talked, they were looking at Slate 1 here, and since then they've played week 2 and 3, and they're halfway through week 4. Right now, Sam, the Cavs are 4-6. They're ninth in the East, third in the Central Division. We got the Bucks and Pacers up top. The Cavs kind of right in the middle there. What is going on in Cleveland at the Rock? What's Beeline? what's Beeline got cooking, man? What's going on?
Well, he's obviously, reached his players, and sadly, or the truth is, the system that he wants to run is not really yet in place. They are doing everything, little by little, almost just playing with scrappiness and grit and kind of a college enthusiasm, which isn't really a big surprise since their coach came from 3+ decades in college. So they're having fun, and not in a corny way either. They're having fun playing hard and believing that they can win. After the loss to the 76ers, that 1-point loss, they were really deflated. You would think that sometimes bad teams would go into Philadelphia, which is an excellent team, and lose by a point and give Philly a fight to the finish and be pretty happy with that, and Beeline was pretty positive about it and said he likes the way the team is growing and he's proud of the guys for the way they've competed. But the players seemed more, like I said, almost deflated that, they thought they were going to win this game, and they really had an opportunity up 5 with 5 minutes left. So I just think that there's a lot of Beeline has instituted a lot of belief, like, hey, everyone thinks we're going to stink. Everybody says we're going to stink. So we got nothing to lose. If we go out and stink, well, that's what everybody expects. But let's shut everybody up. And frankly, even though the record is 4-6 and it doesn't reflect great success, they've played a lot of road games already in that stretch, and they've played some good opponents at home. So they have a lot to, like I said on Twitter and in my column or in my game story, that this team is giving people a reason to pay attention.
We're recording this on a Tuesday night after their 1-point loss to the 76ers, as you mentioned. But they come off this 3-game road trip where they had 2 really impressive wins, maybe not so much against the quality of opponents, but how they won. Earlier in the week, last week, they beat the Wizards in D.C., and at one point were up by 20-some points, and the Wizards had a pretty big third, fourth quarter there, and the Cavs were able to kind of pull that away. But then they came back at Madison Square Garden and really put a thumping on the New York Knicks. Now, they are in all sorts of disarray. But the fact that they're able to, on the road, stack road wins and win and pretty much be in control of both of those games from start to finish, you had to like what you saw from those games, right, Sam?
Chase, I've been covering this team since 2010, including the LeBron era, the 4 and the run to the finals. I don't know that I've ever seen them lead consecutive games back-to-back, wire-to-wire on the road.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen that, even during the LeBron era, and I talked to somebody, an opposing GM, just kind of shooting the breeze, and he said, it's too bad they didn't play this hard when LeBron was there all the time, because remember how frustrating the regular season could be, and LeBron would say, just get me to the playoffs. These guys are treating every game like, a playoff game, almost like a game 7. And I think really that win in Washington, where they almost blew it, they got a big lead, Washington came back, cut it to 1, and then the Cavs pulled away. I think something clicked in the Cavs there, and they just thought, you know what? When the opponent comes back, we don't have to fold. We don't have to collapse. And we're going to keep believing. And they did that in New York, got up by 30, ended up winning by 21. And then, against the Sixers, you could just see, like, they thought they were really going to win this game. And that's a lot different than the 1963 team last year, where it was like, we're not going to be able to hold on. We're not going to win. Nobody expects us to win, so it's not a big deal. But they are very tight-knit. One of the closest teams I've seen since 2010 I've been covering, and it's only been 10 games. But right now, I think and they're 4-6. It's only been 10 games. They're 4-6, but they have been an absolute blast to cover so far.
The Cavs over-under this year is 24.5, and they have 4 right now. They won 9. You said 16 last year, 19 last year. What was that?
19 and 63.
19.
Yeah.
Sam, they could reach that 19 number by the new year, easy.
Yeah, look, if nothing changes, if you don't have a major injury, they're not real deep. If Love or Tristan or somebody goes down for a little bit, they're going to be in trouble. But if nothing else changes and they decide this is the way we want to keep playing, I mean, there's no reason to believe that they can't way overachieve, exceed expectations. So, I would advise fans to just enjoy the here and now and don't look too far ahead. Don't look back, and just enjoy every night. Because right now they're turning this into an event, even though they don't have that super duper star. Every game is for the first time in a while. And one of my sons said this. First time, since LeBron was here, I'm excited to watch this team, and those are fans. That's the way the fans are, and they are putting a team and an effort out there that is making fans proud.
Yeah, and I think this past week really got the NBA's attention. Of course, the Wizards game was on national TV, and they weathered that storm really kind of like a team-making victory there, and made the fair weather fans, quote unquote, made fans who watched the team take notice. In one of the things we heard a lot during the LeBron years ad nauseum was, they got to flip the switch. Oh, they got to flip the switch. And this team plays with the switch on all the time. And I think, not to jump too far ahead to our show here, we're going to get into a segment called narratives, but this team just plays hard. And I think if we were to look at a narrative from the first 10 games, this team is playing with heart. It seems like they love basketball. There's this innocent, and you said kind of like college electric team feel to it. And that's refreshing in Cleveland. It was so like just almost not fun. I don't know. Even though we were winning, it just seemed like no one – I don't know. It was really weird. And I think this like innocent love of basketball is just kind of like the perfect storm of a bunch of young players who maybe don't know enough, who weren't around with LeBron, and a lot of older players who are kind of ready. Like it reminds me of when you see Love and Tristan out there. Like, when you have an old dog – and they're old, and you get a puppy, and it kind of brings new life into the old dog, and the old puppy is just like, rah. That's what this kind of reminds me of, is all of a sudden, right. Hey, Kevin, Tristan, they just needed some of these young pups to kind of help them remember what basketball and how much fun it is. And I think just one narrative that we have to have is just how hard this team is playing, Sam, right? There's no flip switch to turn on, that the team's playing all the time.
Yeah, and you obviously credit the coaching staff for that, and you said it perfectly. The on switch is always on. They're not flipping it off, and they haven't done that yet. 82 games, teams almost always do it, especially teams that aren't supposed to be any good, and it's just fine if they're bad with management in terms of getting a draft pick. So you credit the coaching staff for selling them this idea that we're the underdogs, and we can use that to our advantage. I actually spoke to Mark Price about that, and he said, look, all these guys are pros. They're professional athletes. You don't get to this level by being basically quote unquote a loser. You get there because you win. That is your mentality to win. And you just need somebody to bring out the best in you. Now, John Beeline, yes, and his staff have done that, but you also have to credit the players. You have to credit Colin Sexton. You have to credit Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love for the way that they've led and the very professional manner that they've led. They're not yelling at, Darius Garland or Sexton or Kevin Porter Jr. when they make one of those rookie or second year player mistakes. They're leading by example. They're encouraging, and it's just been a perfect mix so far of personalities, if not talent.
And you nailed another one. We'll go ahead and jump to our segment narratives now, because I think we're just kind of segueing into that. The first narrative is this team just loves to play and have fun. It's fun to watch. The second one, and you nailed it, Sam, the team leaders are actually playing and being team leaders. Tristan and Kevin are being the epitome of a veteran leader, all-star, honestly, NBA champion players, which they are. There's only, especially with how the league's been dominated the past decade, there's not a lot of players who can say they're NBA champions, because a lot of repeats, right?
Right.
So you have two of these players who have played through every situation, every scenario, under the highest stakes, take these players who just have big eyes, big hearts, right? And they just want to play ball. And they are doing exactly everything that we could ever ask them to do. And I think that has to be mentioned, is give shouts to Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, and even Jordan Clarkson in this weird way of in the Jordan Clarkson world. I mean, these veterans are Matthew Dellavedova, like they know their role and they're playing exactly how we need them to play to have these young guys develop. And I think that's a narrative in and of itself.
Yeah, and throw Larry Nance Jr. in there too. Yeah. But Love and Tristan, I know earlier in the season or the first week or so, and I don't know if they still are, but they were talking every day about, look, man, we got to be patient. We got to be the type of leaders that, where we're not yelling at these guys because they're going to mess up a lot, and they do because they're young. So we have to be more patient, more encouraging, and not ride them too much. So I think that those two, along with the guys you named, Clarkson has been excellent in that department in terms of leadership and being that spark off the bench that you want. And Delly and Larry Nance Jr., all those guys, those five guys all played with LeBron and were all in a winning situation and played in the finals and won a title. Not all of them won a title, but they Tristan and Love. So I think all of that is rubbing off on players. That kind of enthusiasm, the younger players, and that kind of leadership has just been it's been invaluable so far, and it really helps make John Beeline's job a lot easier.
Delly won a ring too, right?
Yes. Yeah. He won a ring, then went to Milwaukee, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, we got three guys with rings on the team, and, those five, including Clarkson and Nance, have also played in the finals. So,
I think another narrative we can't overlook is Colin Sexton's continuing development, who came on really strong at the end of season last year, and just the way he's been able to continue to grow and really adapt in this unique way with Darius Garland coming on board. I think other players could have been threatened and kind of become more of a, well, I'm just going to make sure I get mine. And I haven't seen that at all with Colin Sexton. Do you agree or disagree? Or is that an appropriate narrative, that his Sexton's continued improvement?
Yeah, no, I think that Beeline has said, those guys are getting more comfortable together, and we're seeing that. Garland's been up and down, which is perfectly understandable. He's played, he's almost played twice as many games in the NBA now as he ever did in college. He appeared in five college games. In fact, he has played in 10 NBA games. So, and then on top of that, like you just mentioned, he's really playing in the backcourt, an undersized backcourt with a guy who plays, of a combo guard type of player. Sexton is, as Garland is. So that's going to take some adjustment. The fact that they've adjusted and grown comfortable, not completely comfortable, but this comfortable this quickly, really says a lot. And as far as Sexton, yes, I mean, he is scoring in double figures now, and like 33 Yeah,
points per game.
and he scored in double figures now, dating back to last season, more than 30 games so consecutively. So, and the funny thing was against the Sixers, I kind of watched I did watch, and I didn't think he really had many more points than like 5 or 6 buckets. And then you look, and he has 18 points at the end of the night. So he's not forcing as much. He's learning how to kind of pace himself. He's learning to say, you know what, if I give the ball up, sometimes that's going to create opportunities for me to score even when I give it up. So he's learning, he's still a rookie almost. I know they say second year guy, but he's a, what is he, 20 years old? So I think Sexton's been very good and is still only going to get better.
Yep. Do you have any? I have one more narrative I want to save till the end. Do you have any narratives you want to shout in this segment out?
No, I think the one thing I would say is that the bench has been very underrated, and I didn't expect that coming in. I thought their bench would not be very good aside from Clarkson, but Nance doesn't fill up the stat sheet a lot, but he has done so many little things. You forget he's on the floor sometimes, but then he'll come up with a big rebound or a big deflection or something like that. So I think that I don't know if that's a narrative or not, but the bench has definitely been better, especially on the road. Usually on the road, your bench stinks, and the bench has been very good in these past 3 road games.
Looking at the plus minus, the lineup with the best plus minus coming in at plus 10 is Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, Matthew Dellavedova, Chetty Osman, and Colin Sexton. So a lot of players that were on the team last year that they haven't played a lot together, but that is a team with the highest plus minus. The second highest plus minus lineup we have: Kevin Love, TT, Chetty Osman, Colin Sexton, and Darius Garland coming in.
So that's your starting lineup right there.
Yeah.
I will, and I'm not ripping them, but I don't think that they're getting what they had hoped from Chetty yet. Kind of. I think if they had even gotten a C- performance from their small forwards against Philadelphia, that game wouldn't have really been. It would have, the Cavs might have won it by 6 or 7. But, they're still he's still learning how to play with these other guys. The guards are still learning how to play with Chetty, and he just kind of has to assert himself a little more. He's been a streaky shooter, streaky defender. Some nights he'll have good nights defending. Other nights he just, you can't guard Ben Simmons. Nobody really can guard Ben Simmons that well, or Luka Doncic. So
the best defender there is a 3-point line. So it's like the only thing that can defend Ben Simmons.
that's ideally what teams try to do is play off them, make them shoot threes. But that's obviously tough to do. So I think they're looking for more. I can tell you, it's no doubt they're looking for more from Chetty. But again, just like the other guys, they're giving them time.
Yeah. And finally, the last narrative we mentioned it briefly. We have to talk about last year. This is for all the stat heads out there. Last year, the Cavs' defensive efficiency was the absolute worst in all of the NBA. This year, they went from 32. Sam, let me double check this. They went from 30 all the way to 17. So they have a completely different defense, and with the jump all the way to 17th in the league. And I think that more than anything else has played into the improvement from the team on both ends of the floor. So this new defensive focus, really playing complementary basketball. I think we're seeing dividends on the record.
Yeah, that is Beilein's system. Last year, Michigan was the second-ranked defense in Division I when he was there. They allowed 58 points a game, obviously in college, but that's still very good. And their rotations are so much better this year. Just their determination. They don't have great defenders. I mean, they have Kevin Love, who's they have Chetty, who's they have Darius Garland, who's, a rookie who's still learning the difference between physical play and committing a foul in the NBA, and Kevin Porter, Jordan Clarkson. These guys are not great defenders. Delly's not a lockdown guy. He's a hustle guy, and last year they had when you looked at the ratings, defensive efficiency ratings, the Cavs had the three worst in the league in Sexton, Jetty, and Tristan, which was a shocker because Tristan played such a big role defensively in that 2016 championship run. So that is really, to me, where Beeline has other, when we talk about them scrapping and playing with guts and determination, that's where they're doing it, is defensively. They've made a huge leap, as you pointed out, statistically, but even the simple eye test shows that their rotations are crisper. They're helping. They're just playing so much smarter defensively. And again, we're not talking about a team with, Bill Russell here. We're talking about guys who were ranked last and the worst in history last year. The defensive rating last year was the worst in history. So they had nowhere to go but up, and they have made major strides in a very short amount of time, and I think that's a very encouraging sign.
Yep. Well, the main story here The main story here is not Tristan Thompson's point guard desperation three as the shot clock winding down. It is that the narrative segment is over, Sam. Thank you for.
I don't even know that the shot clock was winding down. I think there was like 4 seconds left on the shot clock when he threw that up, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was 4 seconds. Well, some people want you to shoot with 4 seconds because it gives time for a putback, but that doesn't make sense because
he could have thrown 2 passes from where he was.
It didn't. I didn't know what was going on.
You know what? He's going to be on Shaqtin' a Fool, and for the way this season is gone, that's just fine. Congratulations, Tristan.
It was already on the SportsCenter not top 10 Twitter feed. But yeah, so that is not the main headline. It is that this segment is over. Hey, let's wrap things up here. Looking ahead to the next week's slate, finishing week 4 with home games against the Heat on Thursday and the 76ers on Sunday. Week 5 slate looks as follows. Monday is a away game back at the Garden. Wednesday away in Miami. Friday away at Dallas. Another 3-game road skid. Bringing back Saturday home against Portland. Sam, what do you expect from the end of week 4 and the week 5 slate of games? We got a couple teams struggling, a couple teams playing really well here. What do you expect to see?
Well, now it's going to be tougher. It's going to be tougher to go back into the Garden and win again when you just were beating them by 30 points. The Knicks aren't going to, they're not going to finish 2-80, so they're going to win some. It's going to be
I don't know.
Yeah, they might. I don't know. But I mean, so my point is that these are all teams that you've seen now. You're going to see Philadelphia again Sunday. Okay, so Philadelphia is not going to be caught off guard. They're going to know, man, this team plays hard.
Yeah.
We better take it very seriously. Now, the advantage the Cavs will have is it is in their building, and they probably still will be playing hard. Miami, obviously, very good team this year with Jimmy Butler, and they play like the Cavs. They play hard every night. They want to get into the playoffs. Pat Riley doesn't care how bad the lineup is. He does not believe in tanking. Yes, Pat Riley will say, you know what? So what if we finish 8th in the East every year? We're going to do the best that we can every year. So the Heat is going to be a tough game, obviously. And then you go to Dallas. They already beat you in Cleveland. So these are going to be some tough games. And then you got to play Miami again, I think you said, on the road. So it's going to be a tough, look, every stretch for the Cavs is going to be tough because they don't have the super duper star or even the superstar, really. I mean, Tristan and Kevin Love are borderline all-stars. I mean, they're just guys with experience, good players with experience. So it's tough to win. And every night you've got to do it as a team, and you've got to hope everybody's firing on most cylinders, not all, but most. And
in the NBA especially, it's really hard to win consistently when you don't have the best player on the court. And looking at the slate, aside from the Knicks, we're looking at the Heat, 76ers, Miami, Dallas, Portland. The Cavs don't own the best player in any of those games.
And I say have the top 2 or 3 sometimes against some of those teams, but
right.
No,
not own in any other way other than they're just not on the team. And then that matters in the NBA. I think
absolutely
with maybe baseball, maybe football, you can there's enough going on. That's not a big deal, but basketball, that does matter. Having the best player on the court matters. And it takes a lot to overcome that. 76ers, I don't think, like you said, we have any of the best 3 players on the court there. So all season, like you said, that's a challenge the Cavs are going to have to face, either with the continued development of Sexton and Garland, or I don't know what that looks like. When you look at players like Trae Young, he's already one of the best players on the team, right? And that just happened in 90 games. Luka was the best player in the first 15 games. So, and I know those are few and far between, but you know that you know when you know. And it doesn't look like Sexton or Garland is going to be a best player on the court type player.
No, they could be very good, but yeah, you're right. They're not going to be probably in the same class as a Young. I wouldn't think. Although Trae Young struggled at the beginning of last year too.
He did.
So it's hard to tell. And Garland, in his defense, obviously this is a very unique situation for him, where he is coming in with another small guard who plays with the ball a lot, and he's starting right away. So I think that Garland really it's going to take some time. But I know exactly what you're saying, and we don't know that the Cavs are going to have those guys at some point. You can't move forward with this team in terms of only this team, in terms of, hey, we want to get to the playoffs, get a taste of the playoffs and experience that. You're obviously going to need upgrades from within, or you're going to have to make some sort of trade to get another guy who you can count on to give you like 15 points and 5 or 6 rebounds.
And that's why this is going to be a challenge for the Cavs every single week, every single game, because of that exact thing. That's why we're also telling you to enjoy this team now, because this is fun. This is pure. This is joyful. Oh my gosh, this is a fun team. We didn't expect it. Basketball. So when you go to the Rock, cheer loud, have fun. Whenever you watch the game, tweet good things. If something gets you off your chair, make sure to shout it out, because like it's going to be hard. And seeing this team overcome and seeing this team win, that's really cool, because they're playing great basketball. They really are. Even though they're 4-6, they're playing great basketball. Nothing to be ashamed of at all. And we're excited for the season. So do you think the Cavs can be 500 by the end of week 5 here, Sam?
No, but I don't think they'll be far behind. I think that if they continue to do what they're doing now, that's plenty reward. What's the best thing? The next best thing to winning a championship really isn't finishing second, because even though that's cool, but the next best thing, if you cannot compete for a championship, the next best thing is giving your fans a regular season full of fun, or maybe even a surprising playoff run. And I know, there's a conversation about that draft pick. If they get in the playoffs, it's gone. Or if they get close to the playoffs and don't make it, it's gone, which would be, not a great thing. But I think that they just, right now, the front office is looking at it like, let's take it one game at a time and keep enjoying ourselves and keep having fun. And then we'll see, what direction we're going to go in closer to trade deadline. But right now, they're having fun, and they're giving their fans something great to watch. And I think it's great for the people of Cleveland, because for so long, even when LeBron was in Cleveland, it could get frustrating, really frustrating. Like, why aren't they playing hard? Now you never question that about this team. You don't question this about this team like any team that I've seen so far, covering the Cavs in my 9 years full time.
Yeah. Here's the deal. The Cavs have 6 games in 10 days. They got 3 of those are home games, and we get to watch in person. We get to see Embiid, Ben Simmons, and the 76ers.
Bill Simmons might be there too. You never know.
I don't think he likes Cleveland at all. He's been very on well record that he doesn't like Cleveland. And then we get to see Dame. It's Dame time and McCollum in Cleveland. So basketball is always fun, but 6 games in 10 days, that's a lot for this young team, especially when they're at New York, Miami, and Texas. Hopefully they play well. I don't know. Sam, we want to thank you all for listening for this episode of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Thank you for downloading. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. We always follow back, and follow Sam on Twitter at Amico Hoops. You can catch all of his work and writings on Sports Illustrated for the breaking news, all insider info. Do not miss out. Sam, any final thoughts, brother?
That is it. Like we've repeatedly stressed during this entire time, enjoy it, because really the Cavs, to me, have been, record aside, a very pleasant surprise. They have been a team that you can watch. They're putting a product on the floor that is worth watching, and I think that's a surprise to everyone across the league. So just keep enjoying it, and see where it takes them.
Sounds great. Mike Breen, take us out.
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.